Hello everyone. In today's video, I will be demonstrating how to build an AI chatbot in Python, and that will be done step by step. As prerequisites, you first need to install Python and Visual Studio Code on your system. So to install Python, you can go to python.org/downloads, and from here you can basically download. There are different versions of Python available. You can install whatever suits your requirements. So once the Python is downloaded, you can do a check using your command line. So once the command line is open, and assuming the Python has been installed properly, what you can do as a check is just type Python over here. Now, if you see this as the output, which says Python 3.12.1 or whatever version you have chosen. If this kind of prompt appears, that means the Python has been installed properly. If this is not coming, then maybe you need to do some troubleshooting or reinstall your Python. But yeah, this is how you check it. So let's just exit from here. Now, assuming your Python is properly installed and set up, the next step is to install a code editor. So for my convenience, I use Visual Studio Code. You can go to code.visualstudio.com/download. And over here, you can find based on your operating system, you can download it for Windows, you can download it for Unix, Linux, or Mac. So based on your machine, whatever you're using, you can do the download. Once all of that download is done, you need to install the exe file on your system, and that will basically open up the application. So once the VS Code editor has been installed on your system and when you open the application, this is how it would look like, pretty much a blank screen. And what we need to do next is create a code base. To do that, we'll click on this open folder. For the purpose of this demonstration, I've created an empty directory called AI underscore tutorial. I'll use that. So I've selected it and I'll add it here. Now you can see AI tutorial directory has been added to workspace. The next thing we need to do is to create two files. One would be the environment file, and the second one would be the code file, which will carry the actual code for the chatbot. So let's just create these two files now. Right click on the AI tutorial. You'll see these options. Click on new file, and let's create the .env environment file. And let's create the code.py file, which is the Python script file. Now, as you can see, both of these files are empty. We'll start with the environment file. What we need to do here is we will be creating an open AI API key, which we will be using to interact with the OpenAI's API functionality. To do that, we will go on platform.openai.com/home. This is basically OpenAI's dashboard, which shows you what is your usage, what is your balance. So for me, it's right now standing at $5.81, and my spend is this much. So this pretty much gives you a comprehensive picture of what is your utilization and your balance looks like. So what we'll do next here is we'll create the API key. So just click on this. Let me put a test name and create the secret key. Now, one thing to remember here is once you create this test key or the API key, you have to copy it and then you have to paste it here. So let me create a variable. Let's call it open AI API key and paste the value. save it, and close it. So if you do not copy and paste it and close it without doing that, you will not be able to access this. So if I go back and try to see, now the secret key is not totally visible. So that's why it's advisable that you first copy and paste it in the environment variable and then only close it. Otherwise, you'll lose the access to it. Okay, so since that is done, now the next step here would be to first create a virtual environment here. This virtual environment will be used to download all the packages that we will need to create the code, and we'll have to follow the following steps to create that virtual environment. Just use Control Shift P. It will open up this prompt over here, and you have to select this top option called Create Environment. Just click on it. Over here, you have to select VENV, which stands for Virtual Environment. You select it. So my interpreter is Python 3.12. So I'll select this. Now you have to press enter. Now I don't want to do all the package installation, so I'll select the skip package installation. And as you can see, it is creating a virtual environment for me over here. Now to see what way it has created, you can click here and see it has created this virtual environment. What we'll do next is open a new terminal. So this is how you can open it. Now, if you can see in green, it shows a .venv, which signifies that the virtual environment has been created. And this is our current folder. Now here we need to install two packages. First is OpenAI, so we'll do a pip install. Do a pip install OpenAI. The package is getting installed. Yeah, the installation is done. And the second one that we need to install is pip install .env. Okay, so let me clear this. Now we have installed all the packages that we'll need to run this code, and I'll explain what these packages will do as we move along creating the code. So we'll start with writing the code here in the code.py file. To build the code, we'll start importing the packages. So let's start with importing the OpenAI. The second one we'll import is .env. Okay. So this load underscore .env, what it does is it actually imports the entire contents which is available in the .env file, which in our case carries the OpenAI API key. Unless until you write this statement, it does not load the contents of the environment file. So it is important that we put it right after we import all the packages. Now we'll create the instance for LLM AI. So with this line, we'll do it. Now the Open AI API key will be loaded through this statement and automatically will be passed inside this instantiation function, and we can start using it. So the next one would be we'll create So this is basically the module where we create the response coming out of the LLM. The first thing that we need to do is provide the model. I'll be using GPT 4.1.mini in this example. And the second argument is a string of messages that needs to be sent. Now I'll explain what does that mean. So the first thing that we need to do is define roles. First role would be the system role, and then we define the content. The second role would be for the user. The same way we'll define content. Okay. So what we have done here is we have defined two roles for this LLM object. Let me also define the variable this for response. Now, what it will do is it will go to Open AI and select the GPT 4.1 mini model as the LLM model to be used. And we have defined the role for the system, which is basically the LLM. It has to follow a system prompt, which we'll be providing right in the next steps. And it has to use that system prompt to process the user input. Let me just now give the system prompt. The system prompt is nothing but think of it as an instruction given to the LLM by the developer as to how the LLM has to process users' inputs. So in this example, I will be giving a simplistic system prompt. You are an AI assistant and you need to respond to users' queries. That's it. So this is a simplistic prompt I've given for now. Now let's also give user input. Your input here. Let's create some new lines for the output to be more clean. And then we'll print the response coming from the LLM. So we'll use the response object over here or the response variable. Res- response dot choices 0 message dot content. May also give one more new line character here. So yeah, guys, this is pretty much it. This is the basic version of code. Now let's just save this and try to run. To run this, you have to type the following command. So as you can see, it is asking me to give an input here. Let me ask a simple question. Hello, how are you? So you can see it has given a response here. Hello, I'm doing great. Thank you. How can I assist you today? And the code has also ended. Now, for it to be a much better chatbot, we have to introduce the functionality to keep it in the talking mode. To do that, let's do some changes. Let's introduce an infinite while loop so that the conversation keeps going on. And let's make this output a little more fancy. I'll put this emoji for the AI's response. Now we can put the new line character here itself and remove this. And this over here. Let's save this and let's clear the screen and try to rerun this. Okay. Let me ask the same question. So you see, I asked him a question and it gave an answer. But now if we are inside a loop, so it will again ask me to ask another question. So let me ask something like this. What's your name? It says I'm ChatGPT, your AI assistant. How can I help you today? Okay. Now let's give it some information. My name is so it's greeting me. Hello, Saurabh. How can I assist you today? Let me say, let me ask him. Tell me a funny joke. Uh, So it has given some joke. I don't know how funny it is, but yeah, why don't scientists trust atoms because they make up everything? So yeah, as you can see, guys, it is starting to interact with me. Now let me do one more thing here, which will be interesting to see. Let me ask him my name again. What is my name? Now you see something interesting over here. In this line, I just gave the information about my name to the LLM. But here, when I ask him what is my name, it says, I don't know your name yet. What is happening here? So when we deal with LLMs, there is something called as context. And this whole messages parameter is basically where you define the context. And there is a way to actually give that context some memory so that the LLM is able to remember its previous responses or some previous information that the user has provided. Right now, in the current form, it does not have the ability to remember that context. And you can think of the context also as kind of like a short term working memory for the LLM. Over here, every time when the loop executes, this context is getting overwritten. We need something which actually keeps growing in size. So what we'll do here is we will create, we will introduce a change here. But before that, let me just quit this because it's an infinite loop. And by the way, you can just do a control C to just quit the running program. So here. Now what we'll do is we'll introduce something which we call as a Python list. And what we will do is we will keep appending the information that we are giving to this LLM in our conversations. So after every user input, what this message log will do. And just remember, guys, you don't need to give system prompt every time because that's a standard instruction which it will remember only one time. So you don't need to keep adding it inside the loop. All you need to keep add is the user inputs. So that's what I'm going to do here. Let me add this one here and change this to message log. Okay. So I think we are pretty much done. The only thing that we need to do as another change is instruct this LLM through the system prompt that you need to only respond to users last query. If you don't do this, then it will continue to respond to your previous queries also, and it will start creating a cumulative output which you don't want. So I have given a modified instruction here that you need to only respond to users last query. So let's just save this and try to run and see what we get. Okay, let me follow the same questioning. Hello, how are you? So it has replied. Now let me give it my name. My name is Saurabh. So as you can see, it's greeting me. Now let me just again ask, tell me a funny joke. So one instance, as you can see, it is putting my name here, sure, Saurabh, and then giving the same joke. Now let me explicitly ask it again. What is my name? Now, if you see, it has remembered my name this time because we are appending all the history of the Q&A that we are doing with it. But guys, that's how you build pretty much the very simplistic version of a chatbot using an LLM model. And I just showed you how you can do interactions with it. This is the bare minimum version of the code you can build. And on top of this, you can build bigger agents that can perform more complex tasks. For that, you'll have to add additional code here. And that is something which I will be covering in the next sections of these tutorials. If you enjoyed watching this video and learned something new, tune into my next set of tutorial videos. If you like the content of this channel and find it valuable, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Until then, see you in the next video.